Hey, USL Lifestylers. My name is Ayasha Roberson, and we're back with a brand new episode. And this is where you live your life differently. On today's episode, this is the holiday edition. So I had the pleasure of meeting this young lady back in November. It was a beautiful time. She has all this really healthy cuisine, and it tastes so great. She is this chef. She is this extraordinary woman, and she's just a powerhouse. And I just wanted to have her on our show so I can introduce her to you guys so you can get a little bit about her talent, her creative style, and also about her food as well. So without further ado, I want you to help me welcome Miss Shanti Patterson to the show. Yay! Thank you so much, Shanti, for being on USL Lifestyle.
Thank you. Thank you. It's Shani, just so you know. I'm sorry. But
Shani, did I say Shani?
there's a T. It's easy to say with a T, I understand.
Sorry, Shani. So let's talk a little bit about your cuisine and how you got into the industry. How did you get started in the culinary industry?
Well, I guess I can rewind. I've been cooking since I can remember. I was adopted at an early age. I was raised in South Orange,
Oh,
and I've always been around an expressive kind of environment. And I remember just experimenting with food, and I would create these dinner parties with friends of mine, and I would type out menus and things like that. And eventually I started using up my mama's groceries, and she said, "You better get a job if you're gonna be doing all this." So when I was 15, that's what I did. I started rolling pizza dough after school. Some kids would do sports and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I was in the kitchen learning how to make marsala sauce and
Love it.
things like that.
I love
So
the fact that your mom was saying that you got to go get a job because you was cooking up all her food. That's what I'm laughing about.
and I understand now. But I guess I was getting carried away with it. So,
You
but
was
I
just
realized
all. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I'm sorry. No, I realized that it's a powerful thing when you can cook for people, and it was becoming more than just a hobby, I'll say. Yeah.
And it's crazy how that, like, even like for me, because you were 15 years old, so that's pretty young. But for
Mhm.
some reason, you were able to get tuned in and tapped into that creative interest, and it became a passion, and it became your purpose. And I mean, it's very rarely I see from my own personal experience as well that you're 15 years old and you're actually able to hone in on something that you really love to do, and it just became just a very natural thing. And it's Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying thank you.
You're welcome. And you came from this expressive environment as well, which is a great thing because you weren't boxed in. So I think a lot of times parents of all ethnic groups, they tend to box their kids in and say, I want you to do this. And you came from this expressive environment, allowing you to really take your talents to the next level at such a young age.
Yeah, I was blessed. As I see now, I really was blessed to have parents like that, because I've seen a lot of my friends in growing up going after things out of um trying to make some money, or doing what their parents see them doing, and that I tried it that way. It didn't work very well. I had to leave college because of that. I tried because when I came up, the culinary degree didn't really hold much weight. And even my parents were kind of concerned that I couldn't make a living cooking. So I remember trying to tie the nutrition with the culinary arts, and I went to Penn State, and I only got through 2 years because my mind really was, I wanted to get my hands dirty so badly. I needed to be in the kitchen environment. So once I was able to, I guess I would say, get married to what I do, then I came back and went to college. That's when that piece came in for me.
Mm. And you know what? That's a very special piece, I think, because I think a lot of times, especially when you're really young and go straight from high school into college, I think that's where you try to start really finding yourself and finding your purpose and your passion and things of that nature as well. And a lot of time when you're in college, you're kind of getting focused to do one thing, but your energy and your inner being is telling you to focus to do something else. And it was good that you were able to make that decision at such a young age and kind of go with really building your craft to the point that where it is now. And that will help empower other young people, especially Black people, Black young women who are in college or going to go to college and are find themselves in a similar situation like your friends did. And also yourself when you were in college as well. Now, as a Black chef, how has some of the challenges you have come across?
Oh, girl. Girl, that started real fast. That started at an early age as well, because I was cooking for non-Black companies, right? So I'm already seeing, and it's easy to get this impression that their cuisine holds more weight or a higher standard, or it's more elevated than our food, and that is not true, right? So even in culinary school, the French techniques are like the top tier, and I was French culinary, culinarily trained by French technique, but I saw it every step of the way, to be honest with you, and I experienced it every step of the way. I would be lying if I said I didn't, and it wasn't until I really let go of all the fear about, oh, I'm gonna be broke if I do this or do that wrong move, and I allowed myself to make decisions that were in line with me, and that's when I started to really see that it's okay to put your spin on things. It's okay to emphasize these ingredients. This is what's good for us, watermelon and things like that I don't see other cuisines utilizing, the okra and the collards and things like that. That's the stuff I want to cook. And there became this really big disconnect when I was cooking for other people things that I don't eat anymore. Like I had to really take control of my diet, and that's really what shaped everything else to fall into place for me. Because once I cut chicken and meat and stuff out of my diet, I'm like, I'm cooking this for y'all because y'all eat it. But I had to get real with that difference.
No, that's great. I think you were evolving as well, and you were learning more about yourself and your culture, and also about the people that you were also serving as well. And you saw the disconnect happening, and you saw also yourself evolving as well. And you kind of had to say, what can I do to kind of fill in the gap? How can I still make this work, even though I'm evolving? I see a disconnect when it comes to cuisine, because we know Black cuisine tend to be more stereotypical when it comes to like the Southern cuisine. When you think of just Black, when we know that it's such a diaspora of Black cuisine that has been made for years. But I think because of the media, they only publicize certain types of things that quote unquote Black people may eat. So, and then you're serving for a population that isn't Black as well. So it's very complicated and it's very challenging as a chef and as a Black woman in that culinary scene. But it seemed like you were able to kind of infuse uh, your own experiences and kind of culinate it and make it your own avenue, your own path. You didn't really have to take someone else's stuff and just make it your own. You're like, come on, let me just think about how I can make this work and make it my own, but still have like a healthy type of flair to it as well. And I think that's what makes your food so unique and different and so tasty too. So let's talk a little bit about your food now. How did you come up with the concepts? And just ladies and gentlemen, I just want to let you know I met Shanti at a networking event. So she had all these tasty, I mean, it was so healthy, but it was so good. Because I think a lot of times when we talk about healthy foods, the taste is what gets people, off, because they like, oh my gosh, it's healthy, it doesn't taste well. Where your food was just, it tastes so well. I came up for, I think, third helpings. That's how good your food was. So tell us how you come up with your concept of your foods.
That's so funny because yes, that's how we got acquainted because you kept coming up.
Yes.
Thank you. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that. um, I think for anything that I'm invited to do, I first look at the type of event. I and then be able to, and then I'm able to build around that. Like for example, this event was really accentuating the work that everyone was doing. It has been doing in the community to combat food insecurity, right? And so to create access to healthy food for a wide range of people. And so I started working within that. I wanted to make sure I was getting produce from the local farms here. And then I said, well, I know some people do eat meat, some people do still eat fish and stuff like that. So I started to create, things that play well with that are still light. And especially with the hors d'oeuvres and things like that, you want to make sure things that are functional while you're talking, and make sure it's bite sized, and the little things that go into it. And also not a lot of salt. I try to use herbs more than anything and let those flavors kind of play off of each other. Similar to how a musician would write a song or so, I would say. Like you have a concept in mind, and then you hear a beat, and then an organic kind of feeling comes along, and then before you know it, you have a whole composed piece. And that's kind of how I think too.
That's a beautiful concept of the concept of music in comparison with food, and how you just blend those things together based off the event, and how you were able to cultivate that as your own as well. I think that's just a very much of a gift, and also a talent that's very unique as well, because I don't think most people can't go into any event and they can't just kind of go based off of the concept of what they're doing to blend the foods. I think a lot of times people struggle as culinary artists as well as really evolving, one, and then two, really doing food, shaping the event of what the event is really called into concept too. And I think I've been to some events where, it's a nice event, but the food doesn't really blend with the whole concept or the atmosphere. And I think you do it so well and so naturally, it's just
Thank
fluid.
you.
You're welcome. So I want to know, and I know the audience want to know as well. How can people get in touch with you for booking you for their holiday events and upcoming events for 2023?
Well, put it like this: I'm semi self-employed. I
Mhm.
still have. I don't work for a company. I am a private chef, so I do have a main client throughout the year. I'm working on becoming totally free of any structured schedule, so I can, take on all of these things. But I'm on Instagram, food and thoughts, food, the letter N, and thoughts on Instagram. And feel free to reach out and DM me. I want to do more community-based work. There was definitely a void I was feeling. There's people, you can cook for wealthy people, but it's nothing like cooking with each other and getting people to experience your food. Like, because yes, I do this food thing, but I think there's a deeper thing behind it, and it doesn't matter what you do. Like even your company is touching people, and I got pretty good at cooking, so I'm using that as the vehicle. But the larger message with reclamation of our gifts in this world, and showing and sharing that and the healing and all of that. I think that's the deeper thing behind it. So long story short, but like just yeah, you can find me on Instagram too.
No, that's beautiful. And I am looking forward to it. I'm speaking into existence that in 2023, you're going to be doing all that and so much more. I think you're a great chef. I think you have so many great things coming your way, as well as opportunities, blessings. And I'm just really ecstatic to see what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks as far as you going to move into this journey. I mean, I can definitely see you doing a lot of food gatherings for people throughout the community, whether it's here in New Jersey or in the tri-state area or somewhere throughout the United States. But I think that's where we need to bring it back to, like the food gatherings and community oriented. And that's where we can share our thoughts and discussions and kind of get a round table. And I think the food is what brings us together. And your food just makes it, it's like the icing on the cake. So thank you so much, Shani, for being on the show. And thank you guys for listening to USL Lifestyle, where you live your life differently. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on the next episode. Stay tuned and continue to shine bright. Bye, guys.